Hi, my name's Holly and I'm a computer science tutor and I run Teach All About It. Today I'm going to be working with a real student on a practice programming question for the 2022 tasks. Now these are practice questions that I have come up with just by looking at the tasks. I have no idea what will come up in the actual exam, but these are useful ones to practice with to get yourself prepared for the exam. Okay, so can you highlight the two important pieces of information in this question? Brilliant. Okay, so the first one is your variable. So what is a variable? What's the formal version of a variable?
It's like an object.
It's an object. So we talk about it being a named piece of memory because all variables have a name. How could you finish that sentence? What does a variable do?
It kind of like, doesn't it like label area or like certain objects?
Yeah, so the label is the name and a variable changes while the program runs. And that's really important because you can change its value. Oh, I'm just going to change that one again because we don't want to scribble over the top. We want to highlight. There we go. Okay, so in task 2, because that's the other thing that you've identified, in task 2, you have said you've got one variable. So rather the question said you have one variable. So you've got your reports. And those reports, the user is going to see all of the volunteers, all of the members, all of the volunteers on the pier, or the volunteers in the gift shop, and they need to choose a report. So what variable could you use in task 2? Can you give me a name for it?
Volunteering options.
Oh, lovely. Now, can you show me how you would write that variable name? Nice. Okay, so the fact that you've written it in with no gaps, that's important. So no spaces, a bit like no capes. Okay, and then also it needs to be meaningful. So if your examiner understands what it means, then that's absolutely fantastic. So you've definitely got a mark there because volunteering opt. Then underneath, and it says, and state its use. So what would you use volunteer opt for?
To see where the volunteers want to volunteer with.
Okay, so remember that was in task 1. So task 1 is where they choose their options. So for this one, it might be something about the report. So what could you use volunteering options to use for which report to see?
To see which ones wanted to go to the gift shop, like printed out.
Fantastic, because that was one of the reports. So how could you put that in computer science terms? What kind of statement might you be using?
You'd use an array.
Yeah, it's going to be part of the array. So if I said you've got sequence, selection, and iteration, which one are you going to use?
Selection.
Selection, brilliant. And what statement do you use in a selective statement?
A for.
So let's have a look over here. So you've got sequence is just like the way in which the code runs. So the lines of code. So selection, you've got two options here. You've got, because you're selecting the piece of code that runs, whether it meets the statement or not. So you've got an if statement for selection, or you've got a case if you've got lots of options. Iteration, which is looping. You've got for. You've got while. What's the third one? It's that really awkward one that doesn't fit inside Python.
Do until.
Yeah. Okay. So if I want them to choose which report to run, which one of these are they going to use? They're going to use selection or iteration?
Selection.
Absolutely. And are we going to use an if or a case?
If.
Lovely. Okay. So over here, what I might do is I might say something along the lines of, I would use this, or I did use this, in an if statement to, and then can you finish that off for me?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that's your second mark. So what you're doing is you want to always put in something which is going to be technical. So here you've got volunteer opt, which is lovely. And then I would use this in an if statement to show, and then this little bit down here shows that you understand what it is that you're doing. So you're referring back to the task. Okay?
Yep.
Should we look at the next one?
Yeah.
So would you like your question featured in one of these videos? Please do hit the subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell. And you can submit your GCSE, iGCSE or A-level computer science questions at www.teachallaboutit.school.